Interview Copilot is integral part of MyJobAide. User uses MyJobAide login to access Interview Copilot. On Interview Pilot page, user will select one of the interviewer and book an interview slot based on interviewer availability and user's preference. Calendar for each interview is open 24 hours a day as interviewer never stops working. Once on Interview Copilot page, user will launch the interview and give needed permission to start audio/video interview session with interviewer.
Hello Anil, I'm Reggie, and I'll be your interviewer. Practice. This interview focuses on technical problem solving for a software engineer role. We'll be discussing various aspects of technical execution, including implementation decisions. I'll ask one question at a time. To start, imagine you're building a new feature that requires storing user preferences, such as their preferred language, theme, and notification setting. These preferences need to be persistent across sessions and accessible quickly when the user logs in. How would you design the storage mechanism for these user preferences, considering both tably and read-write performance?
Here, the candidate starts answering the question and completes their response. The interviewer then reacts to the answer and would normally ask a follow-up question. However, since this is a demo, the candidate chooses to end the interview early by clicking the End button. Because the interview is terminated early, it stops without generating full feedback. That said, the candidate still has the option to request feedback on the answer given so far. In that case, the interviewer provides immediate feedback. Later, detailed remarks along with scores across different aspects of the interview are sent to MyJobAide, where the candidate can review them. Over time, these interview sessions also become a key signal of the candidate's progress toward their target role.
If you want immediate consistency, then some RDBMS system can be used.
That's a good initial overview, touching on both performance and data sensitivity. You mentioned combining an in-memory store like Redis with a long-term persistent store. Could you elaborate on how these two components would interact during a typical read operation and a write operation? And what caching strategy would you use to keep them synchronized, considering the implications for consistency? Okay, Anil, I understand you need to end the practice interview early. This concludes our session. Thank you for your time today.
Can you give me a wrap-up?
Okay, Anil. Given that we're wrapping up early, I'll provide you with some immediate feedback on what we've covered. Strength. You demonstrated an awareness of important considerations right from the start, such as data, privacy, PI, encryption, for user preferences. This is a critical aspect often overlooked. You correctly identified a multi-layered storage approach, combining an in-memory solution like Redis for fast access with a long-term persistent store. You touched upon different consistency models, eventual versus immediate, and how they relate to database choices like Cassandra or RDBMS, which shows an understanding of trade-offs. Areas for develop. While you identified the components, the interaction and synchronization between the in-memory cache and the persistent storing lady. This is where the depth of technical problem solving often lies. In a real interview, detailing the read-through, or write-back cache patterns would be important. Overall, you have a good foundational understanding of storage mechanisms and important considerations. To further strengthen your technical problems, solving focus on elaborating the specific mechanisms and detailed interactions between flaws. This concludes our practice interview. Anil, thank you.